All right, guys. Tonight's set of notes is on economic changes in a young nation, looking at how, in the years of the early republic, the U.S.'s economy is changing. And really the driving force between the economic changes in the United States during this time period is the market revolution. So we need to understand that at the time of the Revolutionary War, America's economy was largely a traditional economy where people largely produce goods for themselves, and there's very little buying and selling going on. However, the process of industrialization begins to take hold, where we begin to be producing goods in factories using machines, as opposed to doing things by hand for our own self-consumption. And this begins very early on in the United States history. And so the U.S.'s economy will shift from a traditional economy to a market economy, where goods are produced on a massive scale and laborers are paid wages for their work. And this shift from a traditional economy to a market economy is called the market revolution. And it begins during this time period. And there's lots of things driving this market revolution. One of the things are inventions. All right, there are a lot of new inventions taking place during this time period that are driving this market revolution and having a major impact on American society. One of the most important ones is the cotton gin, invented by Eli Whitney. The cotton gin allows a single person to basically separate the husk from the fibers of a cotton seed. And they can do it significantly more quickly than it can be done by hand. So this allows for the mass production of cotton, all right, at a very, very cheaply. And it's going to reinforce the desire for Southern farmers, specifically plantation owners, to want to plant cotton. And they'll need slaves to work these cotton fields. So actually, slavery was on the decline in the American South immediately after the Revolutionary War. But Eli Whitney's cotton gin is going to reinforce the desire for slavery in the American South because many plantation owners will want to plant cotton because they can make so much of a profit. Another really important invention during this time period is the steam engine. Steam engine had been in development for a long period of time, but we begin to see it used in newer areas and new places during this time period. So the steam engine will power vehicles like steamboats and trains. It will also be used to power factories. And the steam engine just allows work to be done at greater scale than ever possible before. So more work done more quickly, heavier work, or more goods produced, all using these steam engines to power machinery or vehicles. What we're going to see also is the development of a factory system. Right, the U.S. is becoming industrialized. Much more work is going to be done in factories. And so factories are where laborers are working on these machines, and they're trying to produce as many goods as possible. Now, the first major factories in the United States were textile mills, where you take cotton fiber and you turn it into cloth, or you take whatever material you're making your cloth out of, and you try and turn it into cloth. The most famous of these textile mills was located in Lowell, Massachusetts. And you can see a picture of the inside of the Lowell mill there. Most of the workers in these early years in these textile factories were young females, young girls, who received a wage in return for their work. And this is the first time we really see women moving outside of the home to do work. From throughout all of American history up to this point, women stayed in the home. They served as mothers, as caretakers, and most of their work is done inside the household. Now, young, single, unmarried girls are going outside of the household, and they're doing jobs for labor in these factories, bringing home extra money for their families, all right? But it's important to understand that working in a factory was not necessarily a positive step for them. It's a new opportunity, but it comes with its own consequences. Wages were generally low for these girls, and their working conditions were often dangerous and unhealthy. They could breathe in these cotton fibers, and they can get in their lungs and make them sick. The machinery themselves oftentimes caused injury. They could lose fingers, hands, arms. It was not uncommon for tragic accidents to occur. And the last major economic change we're going to see or talk about during this time period is in transportation. We're going to see a massive change in the way people and goods are moved throughout the country. Roads that we talked about during the Revolutionary War and immediately afterwards were not in great condition. And we're going to see a significant investment made in improving the roads in the United States. And the use of the steam engine to power steamboats is going to make it possible for boats to travel upstream. So it's now going to be significantly easier to move goods both by land over roads and by rivers using steam engines and even into the ocean. We're also going to see the building of canals to link major bodies of water. The most famous of these canals built during this time period is the Erie Canal, which linked the Hudson River to Lake Erie, and by doing so, connected New York City to the Great Lakes region. And that's one of the main reasons why New York City is such an important economic center, even up till today. The Erie Canal played a major role in that happening. And we're also going to see railroads beginning to crisscross the country. Railroads harness that steam-powered engine on locomotives, on trains, and they're moving people and goods in new ways. Railroads are especially going to be predominant in the north, where a lot of these manufacturers, a lot of these factories are located, although we are going to see some manufacturing and some of these railroads in the south, but not quite on the same scale.